Look who has a reading journal, and I cannot wait to share what's inside. Hey everyone, it's Estella and welcome back to my channel. I have decided to create this beautiful reading journal. This is a Leuchtturm journal. It's a bullet journal and I decided to title it Reading Journal. I am using the actual Leuchtturm kind of tag that it came with, and I stuck it on there. I used washi and then this let it go phrase from my phrases sticker kit to just really put that in there. Let it go. Let the creativity go with the flow and just really be inspired by what I read and how I escape in these worlds in books, right? So I really love opening this journal and just seeing a beautiful page being reflected. So here I have just when my journey started with reading and really going back into it. I really needed a hobby that I could just escape to, relax with, and really just kind of throw myself in there, right? And that's reading. For me, I used to escape all the time in high school reading books, and I didn't realize it until after a few years, right, of just taking care of my parents. I'm like, wait a minute. I used to read so much while I was in school getting my education that I just did not like reading because everything was about textbooks and what we were required to read, right? But now I decided to really go back into what made me love escaping in books, right? And once I started reading, that's it. I was back in. So totally excited. Started in September. And I am a person who likes creating collages and scrapbooking type of spreads. I get inspired by putting textures, paper, washi tape, stickers all in a format and kind of making it my own and using stamps. And this is my style right here. Okay, so I have the index, which I didn't fill out yet, so that's okay. And then I have my beautiful cover page that says Reading Journal, and I just love that. And I really love how this looks. I started my journey in September, like it says here, of 23, and I want to see where it takes me. And I don't know how much I will read or when this book will be finished, but I have so many pages, I'm not even worried about it. So I have books read. I have Assistant to the Villain, Fourth Wing, and The Unfortunate Effects of Heartbreak and Magic, which is supposed to be the unfortunate side effects, but I was so excited writing it that completely flopped, but it's okay. I know what the book is. Then I have another page just in case I go over this one page, right? Then I have book clubs. I am in 2 book clubs because I really got into reading. So I was like, let me join some book clubs. Let me look around. And I joined 2 and so excited about the books I'm going to be reading there. Then I have genres. Obviously, I love romantasy. Fourth Wing literally threw me in the world of romantasy, and I think I am stuck there. I love romance and witchy kind of vibes during fall because it's that cozy read. But what really gets me going is fantasy, escaping into that world, the world building, the love, the everything, the story, the tropes, right? Give it to me all. I get lost. Then I have the series. Fourth Wing is obviously a series. And now we have this coming up that's also going to be a series because it ended on a plot twist. And I love that. So I have to write these series down. So I have to get started on that list. And then I have my new releases that I have to start listing. And then I have TBR. So far I have 2, Iron Flame and Legends and Lattes. And I am keeping this very minimal and simple. I am listing everything. I am not trying to create these spreads that are way too intricate. For me, the simpler, the better, because I am that type of person. And I'm just trying to write as neat as possible. And as you can see here, it's going with the flow, right? Once it's filled out all the way, I think it'll just give it such a kind of journal-y-esque look. And I just love that. So here is my first spread. This is The Assistant to the Villain. Absolutely love this book. It's a fantasy romance book that is really talking about identifying oneself, the representation of good and evil, family, loyalty, and the interpretation of how others can see you. And then just really kind of what happens in your life, what you make of it, and what you do with it, right? And that's all I'll say about that. I used a lot of ephemera. I purchased ephemera from a local arts and crafts store here, and I just ended up purchasing these little knickknacks here, and they're like old tags, old receipts, old bills. And there's a lot that goes into this, right? Because in the story, she's someone who loves books, right? There's a library here. She also loves, you know, writing everything down. She has to research things. So this is where this comes in. Like, she's researching purchases and who purchased this and who placed this order. And she's trying to figure things out in the story. And there's also a very important part of the story that's reflecting on the ink bottle that her father gave her, and that's a very important part. So I have here when I read the book, right, title and when I read the book, and I literally read this book so quickly that I just was like, okay, I need another book, because this book I need something else. And that's when I got into Fourth Wing. But anyway, this is how this spread looks. Absolutely love this spread. I think it's very beautiful, very just to the point, and also very reflective of what I read, right? So here she is with her journal. She writes everything down. Her father gave her a pen. Here's the ink pot. Here's like a very old kind of piece of lettering and paper and information she was researching. Here's another one, right? Supposed to be researching, pointing to certain orders and purchases, and then the library that's in this beautiful castle, right? So loved this book. Things fall apart so better things can fall together, and this explains the book in such a way that I think that you have to read it. But I just love the spread. I love how it looks. I love the layering. I love the collaging. It just brings it all together. Then we have October, representing the second month I am in my reading journey, and then representing fall, pumpkins, giving me that vibe of just coziness, reading, and holding my coffee. So the second book I did was Fourth Wing, and I read this towards the end of September. So I have the dates listed here, 26th, 27th, 28th, 30th, and then October 1st and 2nd, right? And I finished it. I love this book. I was reading this book at night because, like I said, I'm busy working, being a mom, being a caregiver. Just my life is busy, so I read when I can. I wish I could just sit for 2 days and read a book, but I can't. There's times that I can read for maybe 4 or 5 hours, and then after that, I have to get back to it. I have to cook and take care of my family, but it is what it is. So I have the book here, Fourth Wing, and I have this quote: "A dragon without its rider is a tragedy. A rider without their dragon is death." And the Dragon Riders Codex is what this whole kind of story is reflecting on, because it goes over rules, it goes over history, it goes over things. So I just kind of wrote that because that was the beginning quote of the book. And it says part 1, obviously, because this is part 1. Then I have the next spread. You could tell I really loved Fourth Wing. This is supposed to be Violet. This is supposed to be like the academic part of the school, right? Basquiat War College. And there's a library there. There's books. There's archives. There's packages coming in. There's forms she got to fill out. There's courses. There's challenges she has to face. Her mother's a general, so I use this as her mother telling her she needs to complete this. She needs to go to War College. She needs to prove herself, right? Then the typewriter, her father writing her a letter that she discovered, which is a very important part of the story. So I literally wrote 2 pages in this spread because I absolutely was so lost in this world that I absolutely love this story. Then the last book that I just finished was The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic. And this is a witchy fall good read. It's just so good, right? She's just filled with magic. She bakes. Her baking just kind of gives people what they need, whether it's courage, whether it's calming, whether it's truth-telling, whether it's something just that they crave. It's all so magical. It's about love. It's about family. It's about coming together. It's about finding the magic within you and really just finding the definition of love. And I just love this. So I did start the spread. Obviously, I did not write about the book yet because I literally just created the spread this morning. I was so inspired. I was like, I need to do the spread. I have a picture in my mind of what I want it to look like, and I did it. And it's very representative of her and her garden and growing and baking and family and love. And I wanted to represent that, and I think I did. It's just so beautiful. So that is that. This is a very nice bullet journal. The paper reminds me of the color of Hobonichi paper. And if I go like this is the thickness. So it's not too thick, right? It's not your Archer and Olive type of bullet journal, but it is nice. Now, one thing I will say is if you are a hard writer, you could see my writing here. You can feel it. Does it leak through to the other side? No, not really. If I wanted to put like a piece of paper so nothing will kind of write over the next page, I could do that because I do write hard, you know, firmly. And I noticed that. So for me, it's just like, okay, well, I have to be mindful of that. So the paper is not too thick, not too thin. And there are 251 pages. So I'm going to see how far this journal takes me. I really love it. There's a pocket in the back that I just, you know, have stickers here and things like that. And I definitely am going to fill this as I go. And I think it's something very, very beautiful for me to have. I really wanted to share because when I asked in a poll yesterday if you guys wanted me to share my reading journal, my TBR, books I read, you all, for the most part, said yes. So here we are. And I could not be more happy with what this journey has brought me. So I really hope this inspires you. If you are reading books, maybe think about creating a reading journal. If you don't have a big book like this and you have like a small like passport size book, you could do the same thing. Like this is my common planner, but I was so loving the fourth wing that I was like, oh, let me go ahead and create little spreads talking about the book and what she had to go through and like the fourth wings, right? There's 4 wings, how many squads, how many sections. I was like really into it, can you tell? And I wrote like a list of what Violet had to do: parapet, classes, threshing, right? I mean, training, gauntlet, presentation, you know, bonding and threshing here. I was just all into this and I just really love the world that it took me into. So you could do something like that. Or if not, you can, you know, create spreads like this. Like, you know, I have my little Leuchtturm notebook that I purchased for my reading journal. I have here that I created spreads with. And that's another way you could do that, right? I just take whatever I have, any ephemera I have, and just kind of create spreads with that. Or you could take like a weekly like this. This is pretty affordable on Amazon. And what I do is write down when I read a book. So I am keeping track of when I'm reading, which I have to fill in the unfortunate side effects of heartbreak and magic. And then I'll write down like quotes from the days I was reading, right? So I do have to backfill this, which is fine. But this is, you know, one of 3 ways that you can also kind of create like a reading kind of journal or system where you keep track of what you're reading. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned for what is on my thoughts on what I read and my TBR. All right, y'all. Bye.